think we better start. Others can do it, right? Good morning to all of you. Another weekend, right? You had a full back working week, I guess. Then, despite all the other commitments, you decided to come here. That is the lecture. That is really great. We are gradually coming to the end of the semester, so be ready for the final exams as well, semester end exams. You have now completed both continuous assessment activities. Last week we had our presentations where you demonstrated for the organization you selected, a service organization. You had studied their service creation, service delivery processes, and what is the existing process, what are the issues with it, and where they are doing better. Then of course your suggestions to improve their service operations. So in that way you identify how in service industries, at least with respect to one organization, how these operations activities are managed, how important for the organization to manage those service processes in an efficient and effective manner. The managers are responsible for examining what's happening, what are the operations, and then keep improving them. And you, although you are not going to become operations managers, now have a sense, have an idea. So how operations activities can be identified, and then how can we propose improvements and all, right? To some extent. Are you there? I hope so. We publish them. I mean, usually, but how it happens? When we submit to the office, do they publish CA marks to you? That is what I mean. Technically, that is how that is calculated. But do they communicate them to you? No. No, I mean, after submitting to the office, do they communicate CA marks to you? That's good. Should be getting the marks. I finalized it, but couldn't say the representation. Yeah. Before the exams, only the end result is published. No. Before exams, the CA marks will be published. Right? Okay, that's great. Because then you can plan how you should study for the final paper, the marks you should get. Okay. I will hand him on to the office. Right. Till others join with us, let's move through this area. We started to talk about last week. Check whether we have understood the point up to this point. And this is operations capacity planning. Operations capacity planning that we were talking about. We have few more slides, especially the important part of the topic to be covered today. We complete the introduction part of it. So check whether you understand these things. Now, what we mean by operations capacity. And for different industries, different capacity measures are used. Then of course, manager at any level should understand the importance of capacity planning, what it is and why that is important. Further to that, we have identified the main objectives of capacity planning, and finally came here to identify when making operations capacity planning decisions, what steps would be useful for managers to do it in a systematic manner. And accordingly, we identified these few steps, and we stopped it here. Right. Any questions up to that point? Because no point of repeating everything. What is operations capacity? Why that is important? Any big answers? Yeah. What is operations capacity and why planning that is important? Same question will be there in the exam paper sometimes. So you should be able to answer. Those are very simple questions before going to these practical aspects of it. Then quickly go through at least now and tell me. What do you remember? What do you understand? Yeah? Operations capacity. Well, who did that man? Something if you don't have anything in your mind, right? What is the purpose of having the handout? All these descriptions, you can't simply define it. The maximum level of output. Very good. The maximum level of output that we can expect from any type of operation units. And let's make it in that way. So there can be different operating units. Could be a machine, its capacity. Could be a production line, its capacity. Could be a factory, its capacity. Right? So same as in service organizations, maybe one particular division, department, its capacity. Maximum output we can expect. Right? So for different operation units, different measures are used. That is what we understood. Right? Per hour or per day. Right? So time factor is also important when it comes to capacity. So per hour or per day or per week, what is the maximum output we can expect from it? Which is important because capacity determines what you can produce and your output level. That is important to meet the market demand. That determines whether you can supply the market demand. And more importantly, as we identified the other day, capacity improvements need time. Maybe few weeks, few months, for some factories, some industries, few years. Right? So that decision makers should make appropriate decisions at the appropriate time. Predict the future requirements well in advance and invest on the capacity and make sure you have the required capacity in their need. Hope that is clear. And that is called capacity planning. So planning all the operations requirements, operations resources required. Basically, it could be machines or production lines, and more importantly, in service industries and what we call manual operations, planning the workforce requirements. Workforce requirements, because in basically in manual services and in manual operations, capacity determines mainly your workforce, like how many workers you have and their productivity. Can you understand it? So capacity manager or the operations managers should carefully plan the capacities of this. And in this topic, we try to understand how to make such capacity planning decisions in a systematic way. And for that, we identify few steps. Right. Quickly go through these steps and make sure you can understand. Step number 1. Decision makers should have facts and data. What is the existing capacity? With respect to machines or production lines, workforce, what you have already, you should know. And for that, as we discussed, how managers can assess the existing capacity. Hello? By gathering data. So they need to gather data from the relevant sources and assess what we have now. As you, in an industry like yours, audit firms, right? You are going to become the manager, senior manager in there. So you are planning the future capacity requirements. What is the starting point? You should know existing capacity. So what are the different areas you would collect information if you have to assess the capacity of your audit firm now? Hello? What are the different information you need to assess the existing capacity levels? Yep. Okay, there can be different workforce categories like training staff, then managers, and then in between audit supports, right? And for various other related like IT or any other support. So what are the current workforce levels that you should know? Right? So that is about workforce capacity. And at the same time, other machinery equipments you have like laptops, computer solutions, right? And other physical resources, now you need to plan. So that is for service like audit firms. In the same manner, maybe a factory, maybe a university like this, you should know what you have. And we understood when we measure the capacity, there are different concepts. We discussed about 3, right, the other day. So there are 3 capacity related measurements. I'm not going to repeat, but just to remind you, there's a concept called design capacity. The maximum theoretical output we can expect. Hope you can understand, we discussed. However, for more sensible decisions or more practical decisions, using this concept would be appropriate. What is it? What we call effective capacity. Not the design capacity every time, but something called effective capacity. What is that? Effectively, what is the maximum capacity we can expect? Not the design capacity. Right? Because due to various different practical reasons, managers will not be able to utilize the full design capacity due to some reasons. Like preventive maintenance, machine setups and changeovers takes time, so that you may lose some amount of time for that and production due to that. Changes in product mix when you change, or scheduled breaks in between. Together we call it planned resource unavailability. You know that you are not going to use that fully. One example is there, we discussed it. So for practical decision making, effective capacity is a good measure, useful practical measure for managers. So you know what is your effective capacity as of now, what you can expect. Assume at a branch, you have 20 workers in various different departments, right? And then you can expect all 20, that is the design capacity, right? Work on a usual day, and that is your capacity, so that you can plan with various different departments how you are going to allocate them and how they would be delivering the services. Can we expect all 20 be there every day? Practically, due to various different reasons, right? At least some of them may take leave prior, with prior approval, they may take leaves. That is one way. Although they come for work, would they work for the entire 8 hours or 9 or 10 hours? So practically, they take various different breaks, and then of course, sometimes the work is there, but machine is not working. Can that happen? Yes. So that department did some renovations so that you won't be able to operate fully. Can you understand? So likewise, due to various different reasons, even in the service, right, you cannot expect the design capacity. So effective capacity is, that makes sense. However, there is the other concept we call the actual capacity. That could be even lower value than the effective due to various different other practical reasons. Right? Like absenteeism, machine breakdowns, unavailable, here in this case, not necessarily machine breakdowns, but maybe some machines may require what we call preventive maintenance. So temporarily that is not available. Right? It takes some maintenance. But in addition to that, there can be machine breakdowns due to parts unavailability. Some factories may not be able to operate. There can be quality problems, so that they will stop the production. Sometimes they will rework, right, so that usual capacity cannot be realized. Can you understand? So we need to use the appropriate capacity measure for assessing the capacity. I hope that is clear. Any big questions? Then using these concepts, there are these two popular or most useful capacity ratios. One ratio is called capacity utilization ratio, whereas the other one is called capacity efficiency ratio. Now see, how the ratios are calculated, that is different. So utilization ratio is calculated using actual output and the design capacity, whereas efficiency ratio is calculated using actual output into effective capacity, into percentage. Now, for an example, say you are given this information. Given this information, the design capacity of this is a bakery, right? The bakery operates for 7 days per week, whole 7 days, and 3 8-hour shifts. That means 24 hours. Can you understand it? So this bakery and its design capacity for this product rolls, 1,200 rolls per hour. That is the design capacity. That operates for 24 hours into 7 days. So what is the design capacity? We are calculating the design capacity. What is the design capacity? Hope you can understand it. Good morning. this bakery, if you have to calculate design capacity, what is it? Per hour production into 24 hours into 7 days. So per week output design capacity can be calculated. Clear? You start write down something. So you feel you are there. I won't be able to send something to your mind. No, you have to think. So design capacity. Hope you can understand it. It's something like 201,600 rolls per week. Right? So that is design capacity. And assume that you are provided effective capacity is this, and actual capacity is this. Calculate capacity utilization ratio and then capacity efficiency ratio. We try to do this to identify these capacity constraints. Right? There are 3 capacity measures and 2 capacity ratios we identified here. So when you calculate capacity utilization ratio, we used actual capacity and the design capacity. And accordingly, we get a value 73.4% is the utilization ratio of that production line. Utilization ratio, somewhere around 73.4%. That is there in the handout, so there's no need to write this down. And only the additional point you can write it down. Because we need time for other important points. If you calculate capacity efficiency ratio, for which we use actual capacity and the effective into percentage, we get a value 84.6% efficiency ratio. So that means from the available capacity, design capacity, what is actually utilized. From the effective capacity, what is actually realized, what percentage. So efficiency. Now, for capacity managers or for operations managers, which equation, which ratio is more useful? Understanding is that capacity utilization ratio or capacity efficiency ratio that is more useful for their practical decision making, especially here to make the when assessing the existing capacity, right, and comparing it. You know, the purpose of calculating ratio is to compare what happened in previous years, 2020 to 2024, right? Also to compare with similar other type of businesses. Company A, the capacity ratio is this, like utilization. Company B, utilization is this. So like that. For comparisons, we calculate ratios. So in your understanding, which ratio is more useful? Efficiency ratio. efficiency ratios. True, to a great extent, I also agree, efficiency ratios, because from the effective capacity, what percentage actually realized. So higher efficiency ratios indicate that operations managers are realizing higher percentage of effective capacity. Nevertheless, when we assess the long-term performance of operations managers and determine to what extent they utilize their available capacity, it's the utilization ratio that makes more sense. Maybe, let's say, for weekly comparison, we may use effective capacity. Monthly production, we may use effective capacity. But for annual, let's say the factory workers or the factory managers' performance will be assessed based on the utilization ratio also. Utilization ratio also. Good morning. Right. So they need to achieve higher utilization ratio. Don't know whether you understand the difference and why it is important to consider them. It's good if you can understand it. Good morning. We started the topic, so quickly join. Any quick questions about them? Any quick questions? Now, would you be able to calculate these ratios if the information is given and make a comment? I hope so. That is a simple opinion. What is it and for what purpose this is used? Right. Coming to the second step here. Now, after understanding what is available capacities, then the second step is to identify the capacity requirements, and for that, we depend on the future market demand for our products or for services. Right? So, future capacity requirements are based on sales forecasts. For short term, we use different quantitative techniques and forecast the demand for individual product line and then convert them into capacity requirements. Capacity requirements. So those are the two steps here. To understand that in a simple manner, let's refer to slide number 20. Right? It's a very simple hypothetical situation to get an idea how capacity requirements can be calculated. Now assume you are given this information for a factory that is producing 3 product items in one production line, right? Using one machine there, right? Product 1, product 2, and product 3, for which the demand is given, annual demands are given. What are these? These are standard processing time required per unit. So, annual demand, sales forecast is given, and then standard processing time required per unit is also given. So, if that is the case, can we calculate the capacity requirements for each product? Can we? Hello? If the market demand is given and then the standard processing time given, of course we can calculate the annual processing time required for each product like this. 400 into 5 hours, so that a total of 2,000 hours to 1000 hours required for product 1. Clear? For 2, this amount likewise. Now, if the production line works 1 8-hour shift per day, and the factory operates for 250 days a year, now estimate the machine requirement, machine capacity requirement for the next year. How to do that? How to do that? Read it and check whether you can understand. Very simple situation. How to determine the machine capacity requirement for the next year? For that, what we need? We need to know total capacity requirement in hours divided by available capacity, machine capacity in the same nature, that is in hours. And accordingly, we can identify machine capacity requirements. We think about the machine here used. Only one machine is there. Machine capacity so machine capacity requirement is identified. Consider total capacity requirement for all 3 products divided by available. So in doing the calculations, we can identify. So what is the total requirement here? We can add them simply together, and that is 5,800 hours. How this column is calculated? Hope you can understand. The annual demand into standard processing time. And available capacity is what? How many machines they have? Hello? For this information, only one machine is there that operates for only one shift, that is for 8 hours. 8 hours, only one shift. If you use more shifts than one, we have to multiply it by number of terms, number of shifts. But here, only one, so that I may not indicate here. That is for per day, right? So, annual requirement is for the 1 year, right? So, we have to calculate available capacity for the same period. So, factory operates for 250 days, so that we have to multiply by 250. So, we get the answer in hours. Is that correct? Sorry, it's 2000. So what is the machine requirement, capacity requirement? 2.8, 2.9 machines. Isn't so? Right. So what does this number mean? What does this 2.9 mean? Machine, no, machine. Number of machines. Number of machines. Right? So what does this mean? It simply means to fulfill the next year production requirements, we need 2.9 machines, which means 3 machines. Is that so? 3 machines. So likewise, we can estimate. This is a very simple example. This is a very simple example, only one production line, only 3 products. So the situation is like 3 machines. Now, how many machines we have according to the information? Only 1. So then, when it comes to the next step, that is after calculating the after projecting the capacity available, right? So project the equipment or labor availability, right? And then we can identify what are the capacity required. Now here, 3 machines required, only 1 have. So they need to plan for another 2 more. So in the same manner, for equipment, for other labor, because these are the things we plan. Machines, workforce, production lines, whatever, we need to plan. So that is clear. If you think of your own industries like audit firms or accounting firms or banks, other financial institutions, you can also do the same. Calculate the future requirements and identify future capacity needs accordingly. Now, then the third step is to identify how capacity gaps, if any, can be fulfilled. And for that, what are the different capacity alternatives available? Right? So there can be different techniques, capacity modification alternatives, and accordingly identify what are the different alternatives that we can evaluate in the next step and select the best alternative. So those are the steps. So in the next part of our discussion, we will identify what are the different capacity alternatives that can be used in different situations. And then of course, what are the different evaluation techniques? There are different techniques here, but economical, technological factors we are not going to discuss in operations management. Management degree. We will at least focus on financial side of it. Financial evaluation and identify. For that, the common financial evaluation techniques are used, like net present value, break-even points, PP analysis, or other techniques. In the same time, those alternatives should be evaluated based on economical aspect and the technological feasibility as well, and select the best capacity alternative to fulfill the gap. Now here, 3 machines required, only 1 have. How to bridge the gap? That is 2 machines. So there are different alternatives in this case. So in the same manner, other industries, capacity alternatives are different. Can you understand? So that is how capacity planning process is managed. Any quick questions? This is what we identified the other day, right? So when the market demand fluctuates, capacity requirements also fluctuates. When the capacity is constant, that is given, there will be capacity gaps. Like somewhere here, capacity requirements are lower than the capacity available capacity. Is that a favorable situation? From operation side, you have higher capacity than needed. Should we manage it? Of course, yes. We should have some capacity alternatives, like how to utilize more additional capacity available, and thereby make sure you reach somewhere here. And at the same time, somewhere here, what happens? During these months or during these seasons, these years, capacity is lower than what is really in the market. There's a capacity gap. And for such, we need to plan how we are going to bridge the gap. Like, how can we temporarily manage it? Or long term, how we can manage it? Like, in the next part of our discussion, we try to identify what are the available such capacity modification. Any quick questions? Not only these numbers that matters, right? How you understand it, where you can practically use these concepts, that is what important. But as accounting students, accounting specialist students, I know you are interested in doing the calculations and getting the numbers right. That is important. But understanding things, comprehending, and then rationally linking things, making decisions, that is what matters most. Right. Are we ready to the final part of this discussion? Are we? Right. Coming to capacity options, capacity strategies commonly used in manufacturing industries, and even in services, we can have some implications here. Right. So there are these three main capacity, especially these two. Operations capacity approaches, capacity modification approaches, or strategies. One is called level capacity strategy. And the other main approach is called chase demand. Have you come across them before? The first one is level capacity. That means that organization, it could be a factory, like MS or some other garment factory. So each organization has their company policies. And accordingly, they have come up with different capacity strategies. One main such strategy is level capacity. And alternatively, some organizations may go by the second one. What is it? Chase demand strategy. Under each strategy, there are different techniques, different methods, different options available. But these are the main strategies. Right. This is different. I will explain that a little later. That is also used for reconciling the capacity and demand, like these two, but this is not necessarily a capacity management strategy, but a different approach, which we call demand management. That can be used for the same purpose. Demand management. Right? Can you compare these two main capacity strategies and tell me what is the main difference you see between these two strategies? Now, by looking at the graph, you may see this is the market demand that fluctuates over a period of time. Right? According to the capacity requirements vary. Right? So this white line refers to what is the capacity strategy. Now in this one, level capacity is constant, stable. That is the main part. Level capacity is constant, which means you are not going to change the capacity, although the market demand or the capacity requirements are changing. So you may have a doubt now, how come they supply to the market demand? By using capacity modification techniques. relevant for this strategy. We will identify few. And compared to that, you can see it here what happens. In the chase demand strategy, capacity is adjusted according to the capacity requirements. Right? According to the demand, or in other words, according to the changing capacity requirements. So frequent changes can be seen here. Capacity is adjusted, chasing the demand. So there the capacity alternatives are different. Different techniques are available. So you will identify what are the different options available for such organizations. Meantime, you can also think of your own organizations. You have capacity problems, how you can overcome it. And accordingly, what are the main capacity adjustments, capacity modification techniques available? I have listed some of them here in slide number 22 that are used in most of the industries. So we call them capacity modification strategies or techniques. You need to understand them, especially what this technique is and where we can use them, in which type of situations we can use them. Then when we use some techniques, what are the other operational concerns? Keep in mind, most of these techniques can be recognized as short-term and medium-term capacity adjustments. Short-term and medium-term capacity adjustments. In management decisions, especially in operation control, what we mean by short-term? Short-term refers to less than 3 months. Less than 3 months usually. And then intermediate term. That is 3 months to 12 months usually. So fulfill short term and intermediate term capacity requirements. These techniques are used because during this short term and medium term, capacity is to some extent fixed. We cannot make drastic changes, big improvements. Assume now university, their lecture hall capacity that is given. Can they put up a new building there and change the capacity within short term? Intermediate term, difficult. So as factories, so their capacity is limited. So to manage it, how they can manage it within short term and medium. When it comes to long term, what is the long term? Could be more than 1 year, right? 1 to 5 years, 1 to 10 to 15 years. Now they have enough time to make whatever the changes required. So they are the long-term strategies are different. Long-term capacity options or strategies are different. That is more than 1 year. So you may see some of them here. Sorry, slide number 24. Common long-term adjustments. Long-term adjustments. And when they make long-term adjustments, what to consider? In slide number 24. And accordingly, what are the different capacity adjustment strategies available? Because those adjustments can also be done following different strategies. So these four are described there. This is for mainly long term. Clear? So that is how we identify different capacity options. So long term, and then of course medium and short term. Different strategies. In addition to this, as I told you, demand management is also used for the same purpose. Now let's spend 20 to 50 minutes, 20 to 30 minutes, quickly identify those options and see how they can be used in your own industries also. Are we ready? Shall we start with long-term adjustments possible? Long-term adjustments. Long-term capacity adjustments. That means more than 1 year, you have enough time. Make whatever the option you need. Capacity is not constant. So these are the common strategies used. Hope you can understand. Go through and check it. But it's not clear. This one. I will explain that. Yeah. How about others? Can you understand it? If you are going to become a senior manager in your organization and you're going to manage the capacity requirement of your business, of your audit firm, or of your what are the other businesses, like whatever, right? Now, what are the long-term options you have? It could be something like this. At an audit firm, what are the main capacity problems you have? Can you list down few? Long-term capacity problems you have. What are the main areas you have issues? Hello? If you think operations at in an audit firm, what are the main capacity problems? Long-term capacity problems. Well. Now that is fund requirements and all, right? Financial requirements. And when we study operations management part of it, we are unable to do anything about it. basically, right? So that is a financial matter. Can you understand it? So you need to get the support of finance department, finance experts, look for financial strategies available, and manage that from there. Hope you can understand in operations what we manage. In operations, we manage service creation and service delivery processes. Now, this part is relevant for that. So, what are the capacity related problems in operations of your business? Handling clients, that is, that is the operation you have. For that, what are the capacity problems you have? Hello?
The requirements is connected to the automation.
Okay. Okay. So can you just give us a little more details? What kind of capacity problem it is, as you see?
For example, each one is provided to each and every employee.
Yeah.
So everything is connected to the one platform. So the server is
server requirements, right? And as she currently pointed out, technology side of it. Is that an issue? Is that a capacity problem in managing the operations? Of course, yes. You are correct to say that. Because now, in addition to workforce, one main operations resource they really depend on this number of countries, the technology plus computers and the network, right? To manage the operations. So the server requirements, server capacities, and then of course the hardware items like PCs to laptops and software solutions and their capacity. Is that an operations problem? Yes. And for economic firms, those aspects, although they are technical side of it, but they are important for managing operations. Unlike funds, can you see? Funds are financial issues. But here, technology and operations issues. Relevant to this. Now, do we have enough database capacity? Right. Database and then what do you mean? What do you mention there? Server capacity. And then a number of laptops available. And their capacities. And nowadays there are apps and various different systems. Are they important? Yes. So that is one side of it. Operations capacity. So in the future, what will be the requirement? How we are going to meet it? So that is of course one. Thank you. What are the other capacity issues you identify for audit firms or similar type of businesses? Of course, trainees, but more than trainees, consider it as the workforce requirement. Is that an important concern? Often we don't take them serious. Unless you become the manager, you don't see the big picture. But you have to think of it. So what are the future workforce requirements? At different categories, like trainees and the other layers, support staff, and then managers, executives and managers, isn't so? So at different, because depending on number of audit engagements you are going to complete in next year, next 1 to 5 years, you should have an idea. What is the workforce requirement? And what we have now? There should be a way of bridging the gap. Otherwise, what will happen? No need to tell. Like, I'm not going to tell you know what happens when you don't bridge the gap. In organization, that is what you experience. Capacity requirements are very high, but available levels are very low, so you know what happens. You somehow, you have to do something, miracles, and somehow manage it. But managers are responsible for bridging the gap. So workforce requirements, of course. Long-term workforce requirements. We need to plan, and we should have the right workforce strategies. Some of these. If we need more capacity, what we need to do? We need to recruit into the permanent cadre. if needed, especially if we need more volume consistently again and again in every year, rather than depend on actual workers or temporary adjustments, we need to increase the permanent work again. Otherwise, it's difficult to operate. Understanding? One might say this is an HR issue, not necessarily. This is an operation issue. HR is not responsible for that. So the managers, senior managers, the partners should understand the workforce requirements and work with HR to recruit them. Otherwise, they are unable to manage the operations. So recruiting more operating level staff to permanent cadres. Workforce requirements. And at the same time, there can be some organizations, they have more workers than required in future. Like often we criticize government organizations, they have more workforce than needed. So what is the capacity option available for them in the long run? Should they continue with the same higher workforce level? I mean, that creates a lot of issues as we identified last week. So they need to lay off or downsize and bring that to a manageable level that is just sufficient to meet the demand. Downsizing. That is a long-term adjustment. Understood it? Hello? Understood it? Downsizing. And for that, often these techniques are used, what we call VRSs, voluntary retirement schemes, right? And with some compensation, willing staff is they can get the compensation and leave the company. VRSs. This morning we are talking about capacity strategies. You will understand it with the support of your friends. Right. Now, when it comes to physical production lines or machineries or factories, in the long run, they have enough time to expand their own capacities, new buildings, new production lines, new machines. So, establishing new facilities, plants, production lines, or machinery. When? In which type of situations? If the market demand is growing or if the capacity requirements are constantly growing. So we need to think, what is the demand, volume, capacity requirement, and then how certain the demand increasements are. Because temporary demand increasements may mislead you sometimes. You have to assess it. What happened in next 5 to 10 years, 15 years? What is the trend? If that is continuing on a at a higher probability level, right? Now this is the time to increase the capacity. That is how factories, industries, they expand capacities, physical capacities. Could be production lines, could be machines, could be factories. And you know, as accountants, as finance managers, some of you are involved there. With making such adjustments carefully, right, different options should be carefully assessed. Right? And for that, financial evaluation techniques are. What are the techniques you use for that? We call them capital budgeting techniques. Like what? Hello? What are the different capital budgeting techniques you use? Financial evaluation techniques you use in assessing different alternatives. NPV, 10% value, break-even point, for different options available, and you did select the best. IRR. Hope you can understand. Now coming to this one, setting off is also a strategy. When to use it in an industry or a factory? Setting off some of their machines, some parts, some production lines. So entire factory sometimes setting off. When they are no longer needed. Rather than maintaining, setting it off is the best option, so that they can bridge the gap. After carefully analyzing whether that is a viable solution. Hope you can understand it. Another main long-term strategy is available for operations capacity increase is that mergers and acquisitions. Mergers and acquisitions. So that is one of the best strategies available. Because putting up your own factories and expanding the capacity takes time. A few months to few years. But mergers and acquisitions would be used to increase the capacity within very short time. Can you understand it? And then the capacity you are going to add, assume that a factory may acquire another similar factory, so that in addition to the buildings, production lines and everything, they acquire the workforce also that is well trained, qualified workers, so that they can quickly increase the capacity in a reliable manner through mergers and acquisitions. For which you do the financial transactions, how to do the merging and acquisition and all, and don't underestimate for what purpose they are doing it. As accountants, you should understand for what purpose business are doing mergers and acquisitions. Not only for accounting purpose, for what? That is for business operations management point of view, strategic management point of view. Can you understand it? So when RCD Hospital Group acquires some other hospitals operating in Sri Lanka, that is to expand the operations capacity, buildings, facilities, and workforce. Can you see? Operations capacity. Airline services when acquired or merged with some other airline services, that is to increase their operations capacity on a permanent basis. Hope you can understand. And for that, finance and other departments should support after carefully assessing, because long-term options are expensive. So cost of expansion huge. And then of course once that is acquired or once that is built, operating is also expensive. So your long-term capacity adjustment should be based on various different analysis techniques. And other strategic objectives of the business should be considered. In which direction the business is taking forward, what are the long-term business objectives, and accordingly make the right decisions. Clear? Among many other long-term strategies, this has become one of the most popular, most practical capacity adjustment strategies now. What is that? What is that? Outsourcing. Do you identify it as a long-term capacity adjustment? What's happening in outsourcing, as you know? Hello? As a long-term capacity modification strategy. Outsourcing, what is it? How it happens? You know, I think. What's it? Hello? So, okay, what is that? The serious is that. What is outsourcing? That is it. Some of the internal activities that we have been doing so far, using your resources like your machines, your production lines, your factories, or your workers, you give such activities, give such responsibilities to outside on permanent basis in the long run. That is what we call outsourcing. So, for what purpose we do it? Now you should be able to see that is for capacity management purpose. One thing is your capacity requirements can be reduced. On the other side, you can use whatever the existing capacities for your core work, core activities, whereas other activities are outsourced. Understand it? So, will you consider it as a strategy for your own industries? That has been the trade. I hope you will understand it. And any questions? Long-term adjustments. That, I mean, any of these adjustments, when we do it for the long-term purpose, there are different ways to handle it. So in textbooks, that is explained as these 4 strategies. I'm not going to explain. One is called lag strategy, and the other one is called lead. These are the 2 main strategies, approaches to do it. And then we have match and the dynamic. How to do it? Find it in more detail. This is for long-term purposes. Let's take a small break and meet at 10. Discuss short-term and medium-term strategies and then other capacity options. But make sure you come on time. Right? We will start by 10. Some may have missed your breakfast, that is why. Thank you. Otro prototipos es una Will others come? How about others? Are they there? Right, shall we start? Right, I think 30 minutes would be enough. Yeah, but we started also late. So now, what we have discussed so far are different long-term capacity management strategies, and these four strategies, lack and lead, if I just introduce you them very briefly, there are different. I'm not going into detail, but that strategy you will find it in more details as you go through literature now. Consider this as the time axis and this as the capacity and demand. Now assume demand is increasing. Right. Demand is increasing in an increasing trend, something like this. Now this lagging strategy is all about, right? Lagging strategy is all about maintaining capacity levels and increasing after some time, and then continue at that level and increasing the capacity. Increasing. So like right now, this is the capacity. Capacity adjustments here, right? So although the capacity follows the demand, that happens after some time. There's a lag, time lag. So it's a kind of defensive strategy. So the business wait till the demand reaches to a particular level, and then only the capacity is adjusted, right? And then operate at that level for a certain time period until the demand is reached to a next level. A situation like that is called lag strategy, which is more defensive, right? And that is appropriate for certain industries. Whereas the lead strategy, that is the opposite of it. Lead strategy, that is the opposite of it, as the term implies, leading. Right? Taking a risk and make an investment early, before demand reaches to a particular level, and then comfortably operate during that period. So, for example, some industries or some organizations, they follow the lead strategy where they make an investment, early investment, to have higher capacity levels. Right. And then when the demand is gradually reaching to that level, they make another investment well in advance to increase the capacity and get the advantages there and operate at that level. So before demand reaches to a particular level, they predict it well in advance and then make investments. That is called lead strategy, which is a kind of aggressive, proactive way of meeting the capacity requirements. For some industries, that is important. I'm just explaining this from technical side, so theory side. You can think of different practical examples where this is used. The other two are different. Find little more details. And how we do it is also different. I'm not going to discuss it in detail. This can be recognized as the lead strategy. Any questions? Anything that you will discuss? This is enough for the time being. Then shall we quickly move to identify some medium-term and short-term capacity strategies available for manufacturing firms and also for service organizations, and quickly conclude this topic. Right. I'm going back to slide number 22. And as we identified earlier, These are common capacity management tactics that can be used depending on the strategy they follow, whether the level capacity strategy is used or chase capacity or chase demand strategy is used. Check whether you can understand them. You need to think of them. You as managers should identify what is the technique, where we can use it. You may not understand everything, so that you need to ask questions. Let me begin with the second one. That is a very practical and common use technique, what we call making staffing changes on third term and the medium term purpose. So, especially hiring when we need more capacity, we can hire more, right? If not for temporary purpose, or if not for permanent basis, we can hire on temporary basis. Maybe even from manpower companies, factory work, we can hire. When we need, I think now, assume now this, when the demand increases, we can hire more and increase the capacity. So this is applicable for companies following this strategy. They are ready to adjust the capacity. So hiring people, hiring operating level staff to increase the capacity. And then there can be periods where the demand is decreasing, certain months, certain seasons. So they are ready to compensate some amount of employees and hire them, or discontinue their employment contracts. So that is what we call laying off or firing, or some other staffing changes like overtime work. It's a very common technique. Usual hours are 8 hours, 2 overtime per day, 2 hours. So we can temporarily increase the capacity. So use of temporary workers for that. How about the second one? In which type of strategy out of these two, level or chase, this can be used? What is called adjusting the equipment to other physical resources, like by purchasing additional additional machinery or equipment, or renting. That's also an option, right? We can rent out more machines, equipment during peak period. So just think where this can be used. Level capacity strategy or chase? Chase. And then how about selling or leasing out? When we have additional machinery equipment, we can sell them or at least lease out on temporary basis, so that we can make money out of it. How about the first one? Because most of the people, especially managers, may not understand this as a capacity adjustment strategy, whereas this is the most commonly used capacity strategy, capacity tactic. What is it? Use of inventories and other inventory management options to face the capacity challenges. Especially in manufacturing industries, this can be used. In service industries, when they use some material items to provide their services, they can use this. But mostly in manufacturing. So, like maintaining stocks, standard stocks. That is the number one step. Now, say for an example, this is applicable for companies following this strategy, level 1. Because now there can be periods where there can be weeks or months or seasons where the capacity is higher than the average demand. capacity is higher than the demand of the period. So what happens then? They maintain the same production rate, but the demand is low. Then what happens? Some additional inventories that they maintain and stocks. And that additional stock will be used during the peak demand period. That is how the capacity is maintained. So most of the consumer products, like biscuits to various other FMCG products, supplied to the market using inventory management techniques. Can you understand? So any simple business or any industry, this can be used. We can overcome capacity problems using inventories. In addition to that, there are other inventory related, inventory management related options here, mentioned like this. So the back ordering, what is that? Back ordering. Have you heard of it before? Have you? In a way, often used in manufacturing organizations. When we use it in services, we can call it use of customer base and all. Right. So back ordering is a technique where the factory accepts the order. Even they don't have the capacity, they accept the order and communicate to the customer that your order will be processed and delivered later after some time period when the capacity is available. That is accepted. So in some industries, back ordering is a common strategy used, especially when the capacity is limited, constant. Can you understand? Back ordering. Delaying the supply until the capacity is clear. When this technique should be used, when following chase demand or level capacity strategy. Hello, can you understand the question? Where this technique can be used in organizations where the level capacity strategy is followed or chase demand strategy is followed. Back ordering. Well, back ordering is mainly referring to organizations following this because they have limited capacity at given time. So that especially in this time period, demand is higher than the capacity. So of course they will have to go for some technique like back ordering. Or otherwise they will have to consider this as an option like lost sales. They know that capacity is not enough, they are not going to consider it. That they consider lost sales. Because capacity is constant. But we should understand when we go for that lost sales kind of option that we don't worry much about it. So there can be costs. Right? So each and every capacity option here having different cost impacts that we need to seriously consider. So what if a factory using lost sales strategy? What are the relevant costs? That simply means they are unable to supply, so they just don't accept the order. So in terms of financial measures, sometimes difficult to assess the cost, right? But there can be costs like what? Opportunity cost or what we call customers may have, right? They may have different opinions about the organization and especially the brand. Right? The reputation of the company will be damaged. Favorable opinion towards the brand, towards the company will be tarnished. Can you understand it? So those are also costs that we need to consider. Right? In addition to other operating costs. So those are unavoidable with options like stock outs or lost sales. But of course, if practically they are unable to deliver it, then they have to consider those options. Hope you have heard of something called response rate of a factory of a operating unit. Have you heard of it? Response rate of a factory. What is the response rate? Well, out of the total orders they received, accepted number of orders into percentage. Right? So assume that they get 100 orders, right? Orders received, but they only accepted 30. 30 out of 100 orders they get. So you multiply it by 30, right? You get it as 30%. Right? Company A, their response rate in their factory is 30%. Right? Over a period of time, what's happening, then they can monitor. So a response rate like 30%. What does that mean? How management should understand it? Now they had received 100 orders, but only accepted 30% of it. Which means, due to various different reasons it could be, but main reason could be the capacity. So lower response rate, is that a problem? What does that mean for operations managers, for finance managers to think? They have to think. Now they are getting more orders but unable to accept. So lower response rate means now they have to think of capacity improvement and thereby increase the response rate. Right? A response rate closer to 100 would be preferred. Can you understand it? So, if the response rate is low for a particular factory, that means they need to work on capacity in response. Go through the other techniques also here, other short and medium term capacity options available. By improving the efficiency of the product, efficiency of the process, right? By improving the processes, we can improve the volume, and thereby we can improve the capacity. Even by redesigning the products to make them more simple and manufacturable, we can save some production time and increase the capacity. So there is some ways and means to adjust the capacity process if needed. Even in services, this is same. Very complicated services can be redesigned as simple services, more efficient services, so that with the same capacity they can produce more. And as process improvements, basically some complicated manual processes can be converted into automated, regular, standardized processes, and thereby save time, higher productivity. Will that be a solution for capacity? Hello? That is what you should understand. Restaurant chains like the one that is closed here now, that is McDonald's, right? So one of the main process improvements they have done is automating the restaurant's operations, like order taking. Some of you have the experience, right? So customers are given the options with the vending machine, right, or smart screen. So the customer should select the food options and selecting items, and thereby what they have done. The available workforce can be used for some other processing operations. So by improving the processes and especially by automating some processes, capacity issues can be overcome. Process improvement to overcome capacity problem. It's good if you can think of now your own operations, how you can improve your capacities by making such adjustments. That is right. Any questions? There are other options also like using subcontracting. I hope you have heard of it. Subcontracting, especially in manufacturing, that happens often. Garment factories to tire production to shoe manufacturing to various industries, or even construction personnel. Subcontract. What is that? This is a kind of short-term arrangement or medium-term arrangement. Especially when the capacity is not enough, internal capacity is not enough, what they do is they come to an agreement with the similar type of factory and subcontract your orders, at least a percentage of it, to them. So using their machines, their production lines, their workers, they will complete the order and you deliver it under your brand name. Subcontracting. Cost would be higher, but still they can meet the capacity requirements. And how about this one? Now there is this latest capacity concept. We call it capacity flexibility. Right? So by adding process flexibility, some of the capacity problems can be overcome. As term implies here, process flexibility. What is that? We can add process flexibility, and you see a concept here. And there are different capacity concepts. One of them is economies of scale, and the other concepts like these. And one of them is capacity flexibility. It's a very important practical concept used in both manufacturing and service organizations nowadays. Just check if you can understand what it is. Capacity flexibility. What is it? And there we can do. Capacity flexibility. This is a capacity design and management technique that has become more popular now. Capacity design concept, capacity management concept. That refers to having higher ability to increase or decrease the capacity. That means the production levels. And also to shift the available production capacity quickly from one product to another. Through any of these strategies, any of these mechanisms or some other. We call them capacity flexibility techniques. By the time the factory or the plant is designed, they have this concept, flexible factories or flexible processes. So they are designed in a way that they can be used for different products. For example, now Toyota is a typical example for this. Toyota factories are known as Toyota production systems, Toyota manufacturing systems, which is based on this concept what we call capacity flexibility. Their production lines, their factories are known for flexible processes and flexible plants. Then they can quickly increase or decrease the production levels. Those assembly lines, automated processes sometimes. They are flexible to increase the volume or decrease the volume as per the market requirement. And they can produce multiple products using the same production line, same workstations, because they are designed in a way like that. Can you understand? That's important. So the same facilities, same machines, same production lines can be used as per the market demand. Very important. So that they can overcome capacity problems. In the same manner, with this technique also we can achieve the higher flexibility. What is that? We call it flexible workers. Who are they? Well, operating level staff who can handle more than one machine, one production line, one operations activity. When you have such workforce, you can flexibly use them in different operations as per the demand. In any industry, manufacturing or service, flexible workers can be used to overcome capacity problems because now see at a bank, right? There can be peak demand hours in a day, right? So there can be 11 a.m. to 1:30 or so, or probably 11:30 to 2 p.m. Peak demand. So usually they assume that a branch of a bank they operate with 2 counters, but during the peak period they need to expand that to 3 or 4. And during off-peak or less or low demand period, the same workers will be assigned to internal and operators. They can handle multiple tasks. No need to use, and they are well trained on different processes. Multi-skilled workforce. Multi-skilled workforce. And we can rotate their work as per the requirement. Would that be useful in your organizations? If you have to overcome capacity problems, now think. These are techniques available. This is also a technique used for that. We call it use of capacities of other organizations like subcontracting who outsourcing. Right? That leads to capacity flexibility. Very important concept. So we were talking about adding process flexibility to meet the changing product preferences and thereby overcome the capacity problems. And closing down the factories and other things are also options available. They are relevant. Clear? I hope now you have an idea, right? What are the different options available for managing the capacity problems? You can understand everything cannot be used everywhere. You have to be able to select what is more practical, what is useful. Now, in addition to that, as you see here, in addition to these two strategies, there is this approach also used for capacity problems, right? And that we know as, what is it? We call it demand management. Not necessarily capacity management option, but something that we can use to manage capacity. What is it? Demand management. What happens here? By looking at it, can you understand? Especially for firms where they have standard or constant capacity, right? Constant capacities. They can use different demand management techniques to smooth the demand to match with the limited capacity available. So during this period, the capacity is higher than the demand, so that they can stimulate the demand to reach the constant level. So such we call when the capacity is greater than the demand. Right? So different demand management strategies like stimulate the market. How? How? Is that an operations management technique only? No. Who are more responsible for that? Marketing. Sales and marketing especially. Marketing. Stimulate the demand. Like what? What are the techniques? More promotions. Price discounts. Right. Get one, get two, buy two, get one free kind of offers. Bundle products. So those are marketing techniques used to stimulate the market demand so that they can still use the capacity. Because using the capacity is important. Say for an example, tourist hotels, right? Of which the capacity is constant anyway. Number of rooms available, right? That is already there. So they need to, there can be certain periods where the demand is low. So still they will have to maintain. They'll have to manage the overhead and other expenses. So what they should do then, they should promote their services during the low demand period. When foreign tourists are less, they need to promote their facilities for locals. And that is why they couple with bank services and credit card service providers and promote packages. Can you understand it? So stimulating the market demand. Making some product changes also useful, like if the demand for their product is continuously decreasing, what they should do now? Capacities are higher, so they should think of new products that have higher demand and introduce them and thereby utilize the capacities rather than eliminate them. Assume now an operation like a service operation like telecom, dial-up mobility, right? Capacity is already, expenses are already made, investment is already made, right? Operating levels are higher, but there can be certain hours of a day, right? so that they need to stimulate the market, especially night time. Capacity is available, but usage is relatively low, so that they promote their services night time. And product changes like some low demand items will be discontinued, high demand packages will be introduced. And what is this? In demand management, this is also important. There can be certain periods, certain seasons, where the demand is higher than what they can offer. What is their capacity? So then the demand management techniques are used to, when the demand is higher than the constant capacity, then the demand management techniques are used to reduce the demand, curtail the demand to manageable level, because otherwise they would not be able to manage. So again, various different sales, marketing, sales promotion strategies are used. Like what? Increasing the prices is a common technique. Have you seen this? In which type of industries? During festive seasons, yes. During festive seasons, when the demand of seasonal products having seasonal demand, right? So one way they try to maximize the revenue and the profits. On the other side, to match with the capacity requirement, and they use the capacity for higher revenue. They sometimes increase the price, so that only the customers who are affordable become. That would help the competitor to increase price, increase profitability. Other constraints are there. Assume that you can do it. If you think of airline business, airline operations, can you consider this as an strategy they use? So their services. When a customer reserve a ticket very in advance, the rates are on average. But closer to the departure day, departure time, right? The price, and can they increase the number of seats available in an aircraft? So that's constant. Right? Curtail the demand, they increase the prices, and thereby they increase the profitability as well. They maintain such quota. Complicated process, seat reservation and all. You can find more details if you talk to a person working for airline services, especially ticket selling and all, right? How they maximize the revenue through ticket pricing, right? And at the same time make sure they get sufficient passengers. Right? Otherwise, if the prices are too high, you don't get the sales for your seats. If you are unable to sell, can we sell a few seats later? No, you have to sell them beforehand anyway. So I've seen other events like musical shows, film theaters, drama theaters. They use some of these techniques to control. And that's a capacity technique also. And US professionals sometimes to reduce number of, if you are a best performing professional in a field, you can increase your charges. If you are a well-demanded person, and thereby you can manage the orders you are getting, and still you can earn more profits, more revenue. So likewise, and then of course scheduling longer lead times, like back ordering, or they look for longer period. they can still then manage the process and supply it. Scheduled for longer periods. And what is this? And in which type of organizations you can use it? What is it? Discouraging marginally profitable business. Low profit items, to discontinue them, so that you can save some time, save some capacity to produce high profit items. So discourage marginally profitable businesses as a capacity measure. Now, this is also used in demand management, what we call adjusting to seasonal demands, because the demand is anyway fluctuating over a period of time. So for certain products, they have seasonal demand only. What to do during the other season, other periods, because the capacity will be idling. So strategies like they may have a product portfolio, different products, with complementary demand patterns. When the demand of product A and B is decreasing, they have another product C and D, right, of which the demand is higher, so that they can still use the capacity. So like that, you understand? So managing the product portfolio in a way like this would ensure they can use the capacity in a more effective and efficient. So I think that's enough. We discussed several things on capacity. Any questions? When you climb up from operating level to executive level to manager level and to the middle level managers, especially, you need to have such understanding and be able to look at things from these theoretical point of views. Right, coming to the last part of it, I'm not going to explain these other concepts, though they are useful and interesting. Coming to the last part of it, now different capacity options have different cost impacts, investment impacts. So before selecting the best, we need to use different evaluation techniques. What you get in slide number 28 are a range of techniques used for evaluation. Break-even analysis, NPV, IRR, expected monetary values, decision trees, and many others. Since you all are coming from finance background and accounting background, I am not going to explain things here. I will show you one example, one technique used for capacity decisions. We call it decision trees. And in this example, we will try to quickly understand it. I think this technique is not new. Decision trees. In your O levels, you have solved those questions. What is the main characteristic here in decision tree technique compared to other techniques? Right. So these are used for, most of these techniques assume that the future outcomes would be more or less constant. Right. Whereas here in decision trees, this can be used for different scenarios. The main factor to consider in capacity decisions is the market demand, right? So in any of these techniques, we consider the demand would be somewhere there. But in decision trees, we can consider different demand situations, demand scenarios, and use this technique to select in the best capacity option. Assume now for a very simple situation like this, if you have to use this technique. Hope you can read and understand the situation here. This is about a factory, a glass factory specializing in crystal, and they are experiencing a substantial backlog. Backlog is it? Backlog, unable to supply on time. They get more orders but unable to supply on time. That's a backlog, back ordering. So the firm is considering, the management of the firm is considering different capacity options. To make it simple, they have only considered 3 options. Long-term capacity options. Option 1 is arranged for subcontracting, of which the cost and the revenues are different. So arrange for subcontracting, one capacity option. The second option they are considering is construct new facilities, new production line or a factory, and feed the market and clear the backlog. Whereas third one, more often the third option is also considered in most of the capacity decisions, because what if we continue at the same level without making any adjustment? We call it no change option or do nothing option. That is maintaining the current capacity. Is that clear? So these are the 3 options they are considering. It further says the correct choice depends largely upon the market demand. And market demand is not certain. There can be 3 probable situations. One is low market demand, or medium or high. 3 scenarios. And the management has agreed, they have evaluated the market conditions and other predictions, and they have now established the probabilities for each market situation, respectively 10%, 50%, and 40% for these 3 demand conditions, which is needed for decision tree calculations. Not only the alternatives, not only the different scenarios, but the probability of each scenario should be known. Then, of course, we need to know the investment, or what we call expenses, and the revenue, the cash flow, cash inflow. For each scenario, for each option, to use this decision trees technique, right? So expenses and the cash inflows. So if you are given a question like this in the exam, such information should have been given. Now there is a table in the next slide, what they call the cost analysis. They have compared the expenses for each option, and then of course the cash inflow, and the net impact is given there. We call it effect upon the cost. The net impact is given or revealed in this table, not separately. Can you understand it? The net impact is given for each option under different market demand conditions. So that is in millions or something, in billions. Call it payoff table. If you are given expenditure and cash inflow separately, what you should do then? You need to initially prepare this and do the calculation later. But here this is very simple. Only the net impact is given. Right. Assume these are the net impacts and these are the options and other details. Now, can you use your decision trees knowledge and recommend the business out of these three options, which one would be more economical, more preferred? Give it a try. This is a very simple example. Have you solved some decision trees problems somewhere recently? No? No? And now here for each option, now there are three options, right? Option 1, that is option A. What is it? Arrange for subcontract. Right? Now we consider that option, and let me have three market options, demand options. One is low market demand, and the other one is moderate market demand, and the other one is high market demand. So as the other options, like the second one, B, construct new facilities. And that is again we will wait for three market conditions: low market demand, medium, and high. So as the third one. Low market demand, medium, and high. Hope you remember your experience with decision trees. Now for each option, each market scenario, the probabilities are estimated. So for low demand, that is 10%, that means 0.1. As a probability, that is 0.1, right? 10%. And for medium demand, that is 0.5, and high demand, that is 0.4. That is how the probabilities are estimated. So as for other options, 0.1, 0.5, 0.4. 0.1, 0.5, and 0.4. Now we have summarized the data here. Now using cash financial investments and the cash flow, we need to solve this. Now this is easy because we are given the net impact of each situation. So our calculations are easier. Otherwise, what will happen? You need to set off the investment and the cash inflow and calculate this first and come back to the answer. Is that clear? Now very easy, we can do the calculation. Now go for option 1, that is arrange for subcontracting, of which the net impacts are given for different market conditions. Now A, If the market demand is low, the net impact is plus 10, right? So the net how it affects the decision, we multiply it by 0.1. That is the probability of that outcome. And then the second outcome, that is medium market demand, the net impact is plus 50. We multiply it by probability of that scenario. And for the last one, that is 90 multiplied by 0.4. We get values here. And add them together, you get a value 4A. A final value for option A. In the same manner, you can do the same for option B and option C. Like the second option, that is constructing new facilities. If the market demand is low, the net cash impact would be minus 120 multiplied by 0.1. The market demand is medium, and if they invest on the new facilities, impact is plus 25 multiplied by 0.5. If the market demand is high, impact is plus 200 multiplied by 4. So likewise, you get the values, add them together, then is the value for option B. So likewise, the third option, what if we do not continue? What if we do not make any changes? Continue this existing capacity. And accordingly, you get the value for that. Then how to make the recommendation? By looking at the total for each option. And as you can understand, the option with highest positive total impact should be recommended. Highest positive. So according to your calculations, which option is recommended? Option C. Option B. What is the value of B? Is that correct? 80.5 first value. So you recommend the first, second option over the other two options. What is that option? So construct a new facilities. Go for your own investment and construct a new plant. Is recommended. Not the other two. So this is a very simple example. If you provide more details, if you are provided more details, is he the one who just came in before the break? Right. Any questions? No. So this is the. I mean, we took a lot of time for this topic, but I think still that is useful. non-operations managers like you all, as accountants, maybe as finance experts, one day you'll have to support your organization, especially the operations people, operations management, when they make capacity adjustments. These ideas should help you understanding the situation and contributing in the discussion, in the decision making. In addition to that, when you become managers or managing your operations, you can think of such capacity management options available and overcome capacity problems. Any quick questions? No? There will be at least one part or two parts in the question paper on this topic, so that hope you can answer what operation capacity is, what capacity planning is, capacity planning process, and then of course different capacity options and strategies with some evaluation techniques. We can get 10 minutes in class break, 5 to 10 minutes. I will start around 11:25 and move to another topic. Which topic we can discuss? Okay, we will start this topic after a small break. Topic number 9. Work system and job design and work method analysis and work measurements.
So you may come to know these marks. Anyway, you can now check this because some of you want to know. I may not be able to change them, but if you have some concerns, you can communicate. Too much? Surprised? Which are in 100? So in fact, was little more lenient than I am. Would have obtained more marks if you had done better. I know the surprise, the reason. If you look at my previous recordings, I have just adjusted them. Right? That is why these marks. But make sure you study for the final paper as well. Right? Don't go by these higher CA marks. Actually, there were at least 2 or 3 groups have done really well, meeting my expectation. But the others, they were not so. But still, you have good. You have good marks. Right? There is one here that is number 714. I don't have any records of that person. Please continue. Happy? Would have been much happier. Done it better. And in the same manner, when it comes to the final paper, I won't be able to linear in this much. Up to this level, you need to obtain marks. I won't be able to give you. That is not difficult. If you work hard, you can definitely get it. Anyway, those who are in the those who are connected online, you can't see my screen, I guess. Anyway, I will publish this. Okay, you may go through this handout for a while and see the content we are going to cover. Right. In this topic, we try to understand another operations management aspect, that managers should be aware, and that is work system design and job design. And in work system design and job design. In relation to that, two more areas related to the same field. We call it work method analysis and work measurements. As auditors, as accountants, as internal auditors, you may not use some of these concepts in your job, but you should have an idea. In fact, you can use even some of these concepts, techniques in your own organizations also. But mostly, this is relevant for manufacturing organizations and then service organizations, where the operations are performed by workers, individuals, workers. Because there are two types of operation systems, as you know. One is capital intensive. Capital intensive operations, which means more machinery and automated processes are used in operations. So the operations are performed by machines, automated processes. Right? And the other one is called the labor intensive. Labor intensive, which means they are the operations activities, the processes are mainly performed by manual work, individuals. They complete different processing steps, and in between there can be combination of manual work and semi-automated processes. They are also the area we are going to study. It's important, but mostly for this type of operations, labor-intensive operations. So mostly in manufacturing and of course in services. Why not? Because most of the services also created and delivered with the workers. For example, restaurants. For example, hospitals. For example, airlines. Or in the transportation services or warehousing businesses. Most of the activities are performed by individuals. And for them, such operation systems, this decision is a key decision to make. What is it? Work system design and job design. So in the topic, we try to cover these areas. Identify the need for work system design, why it is important, and as aspects of it, job designing, what is it, and identify the importance of operations job design. And then of course, what are the techniques available and how job design has been designed from the history to date. Right? So different concepts, different approaches, not in detail, but at least have a simple idea. Especially as managers, when you involve in it, what are the learning points? How jobs can be created, and the importance of it. Then coming to the next area, that is called work method analysis. Another specialized area. So method analysts are recruited for organizations for such responsibilities. So method analysis and examine how method studies are performed and why they are important in designing better work systems, more efficient work systems. And the other part we refer to work measurements and what are the different work measurement techniques. So as professionals working in audit firms or in other financial institutions, you should have an idea about it, because most of the activities in the organization is also performed by workers. So you should know this area
What is work design, work system design, what is job design, why that is important, how such activities can be performed. Have you studied, by the way, have you studied this area for some other subjects? Yes. In HR management or human resource management, you have studied some part of it, yes, true. So in the same manner, now, because job design is anyway HR job, but here, more technical side of it, why, unlike for management positions that you design jobs, these are operational level jobs, technical part of it, and repeated operational activities. So for them, when designing jobs, what to do, how to do, the different concept. So here, these activities are performed by industrial engineers, with the support of industrial engineers in the relevant field, and other technology experts and operations managers, including manufacturing managers. And with the support of experts in this area, we call them method analysts. They are the experts here, right? So the relevant technology managers, industrial engineers, operations managers, and the guidance of method analysis, right? And then of course with the involvement of HR. Work system design related decisions are made. There are many decisions coming under that. So work system is the entire subsystem where they decide how your work is arranged, design, manage, and improve everything, right? But we are going to discuss on the difficult area. Work system. Work system. I just explained who involved in this decision. Because it's basically technical. Industrial engineering knowledge is important. Now, say for an example, at a let's say porcelain factory, how the workers completing different porcelain production activities, that is different from a garment factory, and that is different from a restaurant, right? And that is different from a bank. So different industries, the relevant technology experts and industrial engineers, they involved here. So as the operations managers, and more importantly, method analysts. Right. The main objective of a well-designed work system for any business is to, right, especially from operation side, to have higher productivity while completing the operations in an acceptable manner. So quality levels, service levels, and being responsive, all these are important. But what is the main objective? Main objective from operation side, high efficiency, high productivity. Right. So create jobs that are more productive is what we expect. From operation jobs. So how to create work systems in a more productive manner. And in formal job or work systems, there are different elements, and these are the three main elements in it. One is called job design that we are going to discuss now, and the other two are work measurements and setting standards, and at the same time work compensation. In fact, the last one I am not going to discuss here. Work compensation, it refers to setting the salaries, wage limits, rates, payment rates, and all, as we have studied in HR. But other content like job designing, corporations work, and then of course method analysis and work measurements and standards that we will quickly cover. The huge content, but we will discuss briefly. There are books written on work system design, various different techniques from industrial revolution era to date. There are different techniques, concepts, right? But we try to understand the basics. Clear? So let's begin with the job design part of it. This is not new to you. You know what it is. Job design. However, we are focusing here on operations jobs. Operations jobs. What are operations jobs? What we mean by operations jobs here? If it is a manufacturing organization like garment factory, right? The jobs we create for individuals who involved in the manufacturing process there. Machine operators to assistants to various other in various different production steps. Can you understand? So as at a restaurant, operation jobs are in various departments like in the cooking area, kitchen area, different processes, customer services, different processes, serving, different processes, cashier and count operations, separate. Likewise, can you understand it? Is that relevant for your industry? What do you think? Another financial services? Even you may be working in a position, working in a job that is at operating level. Completely certain processing steps. Don't just think as an employee, but as an work or manager, how the work system should be arranged here. Why? What is the purpose of work system and how to design it, and likewise. As you simply note it here, slide number 4, this can be defined as the activity or the function of specifying the work activities of an individual or group of individuals in an organization. What they should do, what they would be doing, that should be specified, and that is called job design. Right? Who involves here? As we identified earlier, technology experts, industrial engineers, and method analysts, HR and operations. What is the main objective of this activity, job design? Very simply, we can say that is to develop something called job structures. In simple terms, that is to create jobs, that is to specify jobs. What do you mean by a job? One position that we recruit individuals. No? So it's about what he or she is going to do in his position, his or her position. That should be specified. Someone should recommend, okay, this position supposed to do this. List of tasks. In HR you call it. JD. Job description. Right? List of tasks to be completed by that job holder. So that is job. Now, if you think of, let's say, some audit firms, they have audit trainings, right? Audit trainings. Audit training in a particular section, particular unit, particular department. Right? Each department, their job requirements are different, right? So that audit training working for what are the different units? and a trainee working to a team in tax. So these are the activities the person should be doing. So as the other areas like internal audit section, and a trainee is supposed to perform these tasks. And at the same time, the other level, there are other job levels also. After about audit training, we have senior, yeah, senior associates. Is that associates?
It depends on the firm.
Well, true. It depends on the firm, the structure they have. So, what that person having a job at associate level, but the job content of that person, and beyond that executives. Is that no? Supervisor. What is the job content of supervisor? And what is the job content of manager? Assistant manager. And they are managers anyway, but still they may perform certain operational tasks while supervising others. Can you understand it? In addition to the management responsibility, they have operational tasks also. Right. So it's all about specifying the job content. It is very important. But managers don't understand. Often what happens, who don't understand these management concepts, one main mistake they do is they recruit workers and they think workers know everything. They know what to do and how to do things. They let workers to learn on the job training, what they call. Right? Can an outsider, a newcomer joining into audit training position know everything by themselves? You can't expect them. So it's management responsibility. There should be a proper structure. Job content created. Well specified job content. That is what we see in well established organizations like, let's say, when you go to Pizza Hut, when you go to McDonald's, worker at any level, even cleaner, waiter, cooking assistant, and almost all the other people, they have a well specified job content to do. And that is how they train their workers there. So as they are able to perform their tasks. So that is important. So here we try to understand how to create jobs and all, not in detail, but it is clear. So the purpose of job design is to create job structures, what we call in simple terms, jobs. What is a job? Technically, right? This job creation activity will answer these questions, but to understand what is a job, right? From operational point of view, right? A job consists of tasks, a few tasks meaningfully arranged into one person, into one position. What is a task? A task comprises of few work elements meaningfully together. What is a job element? A job element consists of small micro motions, few micro motions that should fit together to create a meaningful impact. Can you understand it? From operational point of view, one job consists of few tasks. Then what is a task? A task consists of few work elements. A work element may consist of few micro motions like these. That is the smallest work activity. Right. Micro motions that the person is doing. Right. Few micro motions like reaching, positioning. For example, now a person at, let's say, a restaurant making a coffee.
What are the micro motions? Reach into a position, grab the cup, bring it here. Those are the smallest items which combine together into a meaningful combination. We got a job element. So study purpose, that is how we classify. Few work elements together come into a task, like making a cup of tea, right? By combining few job elements like few, right? And a job may comprise of few such tasks. That is how we should look at it. Otherwise, we are unable to create meaningful jobs, more productive jobs. Because these operating level jobs are repeated activities again and again. They are doing it. They do some activity. Okay. To do this in a systematic manner, in operations management, from the history, there are different techniques, methods, approaches used. For what? To create highly efficient, productive jobs. There are different techniques. What we are going to quickly learn. Is that clear? Finally, it resulted in, we try to create more meaningful jobs here, right? And such jobs should answer these questions. The job structures we design, the manager should answer these questions more meaningfully. What the person is supposed to do, what this job holder is going to do, and then where they are going to do that, when they are going to do that, and then of course how they are going to do that. Not only that, there should be a particular reason why we classify certain tasks together into one job and create two jobs rather than having one job. There should be a rationale. Can you understand? If you go to a tailor shop, maybe the same person is completing all the tasks from cutting to sewing to finishing and manufacturing or prepare the garment item. Whereas if you go to a garment factory, is the job content same for the worker? Is the job content same for the worker? No. There you may see a person attached to, let's say, sewing section in one area of it. The person is doing the same similar task again and again, repeated job, not the other task. So their job is that. So two situations, two job contexts. Can you understand it? If you go to a place like Ferran Sons Bakery, how they arrange the work content of workers involved in baking cakes, what they are doing, their job content. If you go to a factory like Tiara factory and see factory workers are what they are doing, what is their job content? Is that same? They are doing the same processes like baking cakes, but the job contents are, so they have designed them differently. Can you understand? That makes the difference. Understanding? Then of course, more meaningful job structure should answer this question as well. What is that? Who? Meaning, not only the job, its activities and how they do it, but who can complete, who can process this job. That means, yeah, especially operating jobs require certain physical competencies, right? And then of course mental competencies. In HR language, what we call it? In HR language, we call it job specification. The qualifications,
the characteristics of the person who can handle that job. So it's a combination of JD and JS, but operating jobs. Clear? Any quick questions? Any quick questions? We have limited time so that we can go to other slides quickly and identify something. Right. When it comes to designing jobs, the techniques used, approaches have been upgraded over a period of time. But even today, we can identify this as the main job design approach for operational jobs. Right? What is that approach? We call it physical considerations approach, where the main objective is to create higher jobs with higher productivity. Even today, especially you may see in the management history, right? It has a revolution era and that management period, what we call scientific management period. Have you studied? Hello? Scientific management, right? And then gradual development like Hawthorne studies and all the other human relations movements and all. So that is how the management concepts have been evolved. So from the beginning to date, this has been there. What is it? Productivity concern. How to get the maximum output from each worker, from each job. Even today, that is the main concern. Nevertheless, according to the management history, some other techniques are also there. Right? Especially after 1930s, 1940s, there is a growing concern on this aspect, what we call behavioral. And of course, after 1950s, 60s, and when it comes to today's context, this has been very important. This has become very important. What is that approach? We call it behavioral considerations for job design, where together with productivity, they have another concern here. What is that? Creating job contents that makes employees also happy, employees also satisfied. Why? If they are not satisfied with their job content, what happens? They are frustrated and we can't get the productivity as we go. There is especially in the long term. We can get the productivity in the short term, but if they are frustrated, fed up with the job content, they demotivate them, and we can't expect the same productivity in the long run. So modern jobs not only be productive, but should also satisfy the job holder. And for that, how to design jobs? That is the challenge. Are you happy about the job content you deliver in your organization and your job? Some may be lucky to have such jobs, whereas majority of others, especially operating level, they don't like. And that is why they don't come forward. And that is why they don't continue the same organization. And that is why what we call absenteeism is high, job turnover is high, lot of complaints, grievances. If you look at certain factories like garment factories, some manufacturing organizations, every day there is a board, vacancies are available, we recruit. Why? All the time, workers are hitting or the job turnover is high. One reason could be the job content is more pressurized. They expect only the productivity. You very high targets that employees can't achieve. They think that is the way, but that is not the way. If you look at modern organizations, leading organizations, overcome that, while maintaining higher productivity, they have created jobs that are satisfying to the workers as well. And for that, different techniques are used. We will discuss in detail. In addition to these two approaches, there are other factors to consider, other approaches. Some of them are mentioned here, right? How to create individual jobs or group jobs, considering these scientific management concepts, and especially this one, the main principle of economics, the division of labor, or create more productive jobs. Right. And beyond that, we have these behavioral approaches, like what we identified now. In addition to that, there are other concepts like team working. Now, more jobs are created in a way that a team is responsible for the task. That makes employees to work in a team rather than alone. And this approach, we call it flexible working approach, where the freedom is given to the job holder to decide how they do it, what they do it. Right? Especially, it is coupled with the team. The team decides what each person is doing. That makes worker is responsible for their content. They feel like they are responsible for it. In fact, they are responsible. So that workers are satisfied with their job content and they are efficiently doing it. Right. So we'll identify some of these concepts together with this area of science. We call it ergonomics, right? Because now more than good old days, we had workers completing processing steps alone. But now, more machinery, more equipment are used in operating jobs. So ergonomics, have you heard of it? Yeah. It's a branch of science where they study how to design better equipment, tools and machinery to get the maximum output from the workers. Because they are designed to minimize the employee fatigue, physical fatigue and mental fatigue. Adjustable tools and equipments that reduces the effort needed. So accordingly, modern jobs are designed following all these concepts, not necessarily one. Right? In this handout, in this topic, we will try to identify those different concepts. Initially, we will start with physical considerations, what are the techniques and key concepts used, and then motion studies is one of the main techniques there. And there are many others like division of labor and other concepts. Then we will move to discuss about behavioral considerations. How to use these concepts like job enrichment, job enlargement, job enrichment and job rotation concepts. And some other techniques like socio-technical systems, what they recommend, how to create jobs and all. Beyond that, what we mean by team approach, how that is used in creating more meaningful jobs. And then other techniques like flexible working, right? And accordingly, what are the more meaningful jobs? So I'm not going to explain it. Is it clear? So different techniques, concepts are there to guide managers how to design jobs so that they can create more meaningful, efficient jobs so that workers can be selected. If you are not happy with your job content, right, that you are doing now, it could be a issue of job design. They have not designed it. If your subordinates, your trainees are not happy with what they are doing, then that's a clear sign that you need to specify their jobs in a more meaningful manner. Then you can get their fullest support, fullest contribution. Can you understand it? It's a management challenge. Not easy. You should know the process in technology. You should know the management concept. You should know the HR concepts. Right? You should know the employee psychology. Understand it? Not an easy task, but having a simple idea is enough. Let's discuss more when we meet next week.